Roland Willits, Old Men's Stories, visiting Roger Overton.
I like it. It's better. It's like Roger's from Iowa,
Yep.
and we had a little discussion because I think I climbed the tallest or second tallest mountain in Iowa. You know, me being a mountain climber and all that. It gets a little rough taking my belly over some of the rocks, but I usually do it. But it was all of 1,400 feet.
I don't know what mine is.
Oh, and he has a hill right behind his house there, and he said it was really debatable whether the one I climbed was higher. So you live south of Des Moines in Iowa.
South of Des Moines, Warren County, southwest of Indianola.
And were you born there?
Well, I was born in Des Moines in the hospital, but I've lived at the farm I live at all my life. So outside a few years that I'd moved away and then come back. Moved away to town, and then my folks sold the place and I bought it and moved back.
Wow. Okay.
So in other words, I've been on that piece of property, or the family's owned it ever since I've been born.
That's it. How long? 60 years? 70 years?
61. Be 62 this October.
Wow.
I've lived there, so I lived off and on there.
That's cool. To have one place.
Yeah.
And what kind of farming have you done there? Usually it changes over the years.
Oh, like I do row crop and cattle and make hay, and I do a lot of custom mowing and raking and baling.
Have you done that? Is that pretty much what you've done the whole time, or did you?
Oh yeah, I've started that when I was a kid. When my dad he worked in town, and us boys went and we'd done the neighbors and helped them out and throwed hay and pulled weeds and you name it, we done it.
Okay.
Went on and helped the neighbors castrate hogs, or we were just an all-around lend out, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that's pretty cool. It's so you've been working on your own farm, and working on the neighbor's farm, working on every farm. I would assume you did mostly corn.
Yeah.
Iowa's a corn state.
Like I say, that was back when I was a kid. We never planted any soybeans until I was probably in high school before we started planting soybeans. Because we raised hogs and cattle, and hogs and cattle don't eat beans.
That's right.
Unless you put it in a bean meal or something like that, but that's going to be processed.
Yeah, but they'll eat corn.
So we raised all corn and alfalfa and hay for the cows and corn for the pigs and cows, and very little of it got sold. It was mainly all fed livestock.
So your main income has been livestock.
And livestock, yep. Like I say, Dad he worked in town, and us boys more or less done the farm work around the farm.
Okay.
So.
Did you ever do any other things? Did you ever do sheep?
Nope, never had sheep. We had, like I said, we tried raising sows and had little littered pigs out, but that didn't seem to work out very well for us. So Dad mainly just bought the 35 pounders or so at the sale barn, and then brought them home. We fed them out until they were about 220 or 230, and sold them as fat hogs.
Oh, okay.
So, and then like I say, we had a cow and a calf herd that we'd raise the calves, and we'd sometimes we'd feed them up, and sometimes we'd sell them, as feeder calves to somebody else to feed. So it was, depends on how everything went. We did. There was a few years we fed out a bunch wasn't a whole bunch, but 10 or 12 to sell the packing calves.
Did you ever do dairy?
No, that's Dad milked cows when we were first moved out there on the farm. He had about 7 or 8 cows, and we had chickens, and that was back when they had creameries, what they call creameries.
Right, I remember the creameries.
We'd take buckets of cream and your eggs, and you take them in there, and in fact, I used to be an old pair of guys that was, can't think of his name right now, but they were brothers that run the creamery there.
Okay.
One of them turned in, I worked for him in later years after I graduated from high school. I worked 6 months for him in a gas station.
Wow.
In between jobs, and like I say, I've known him ever since I was pretty near born.
Wow.
Mom and Dad took the milk and cream and stuff into him, and the other brother, he was city, city cop there.
Oh, he turned it, okay.
So they changed their way around. But like I say, as time goes on, the creameries went out.
They never disappeared, yeah?
They disappeared, and like I say, I've known them all my life, and the one I worked for, he passed away here a few years ago.
Excuse me.
The one that was a sheriff, he was, I think he's still alive, but I haven't seen him for quite a while.
Oh, okay.
But I've known them guys forever, and they've known me forever. And in fact, I got a little story that I got married and moved into town there on the northeast side of town.
Right.
And I remodeled the house, and I was driving a dump truck at the time, and I was getting up about 4 in the morning to go to work.
Right.
And I'd come out the back door, and I'd poured me a patio and stuff there, and I come out the back door, and the moon was out somewhat that morning, and I locked the door and turned around, and there was a skunk there on the patio.
Wow.
And I scared him as much as he scared me. He come running at me, so I yelled at him, and he turned around and took off. And I'd had conflicts with him before. I'd been out there working on my garage or something, putting siding on, and they'd walk underneath my ladder, And
Right.
I said, they don't bother me, I ain't bothering them. And well, that morning he sort of spooked me a little bit. So I got home that night, and I called the sheriff, or not the sheriff, but the city cop that I knew. I tried to get a hold of him. They wouldn't give me his number because they don't give out the police guy's number, And I said, well, hell, I know him. I'll look up the phone book, and I called him up and told him what the deal was and this and that, and he says, well, just get a gun and shoot it.
Yeah.
And this is in the city limits. You're not supposed to
Right.
shoot in the city limits, but anyhow, he says, you got a gun? And I said, yeah, I got a gun. He said, well, if you don't, he said, I got a box of shells and a shotgun over here.
Right.
I'll bring over to you. So that's how well he knew.
Wow, that's how you
So-
do that. I remember shooting one with a bow and arrow. I had the same thing.
Yeah.
It was quiet.
Well, I shot 5 or 6 of them that fall. He said, just shoot the daggone things if they come up around the house, and
Yeah.
we'd shoot them because you never know if they're going to have rabies or.
That's right.
Especially if they come within 10 or 15 feet of you, they're getting too used to people, or else they got rabies or something. So, but he's also told me he said I shot one. He said call the Humane Society.
Right.
His daughter worked on the Humane
Oh,
Society,
Jesus.
and so here she come and her husband and another gal in the pickup. And they come out there, and I helped them. I got the shovel and shoveled it up in their bag, and they said, well, you want to have it tested for rabies? And I said, no, I just want it hauled away. So I said, your dad called, when he told me to shoot him, he said to just call you guys and you'd come and get him. He said, well, if you shoot another one, you dispose of it yourself.
And he's probably just harassing him a little, yeah.
So,
Yeah, skunks are something everyone just sort of turns over to someone else.
Yeah.
I remember shooting that. I remember they said, go get that skunk. So I got my bow, and because I was a counselor at the camp. And so I went out and I shot it, and I came back in. And I said, okay, I shot it. Someone else can. No, you have to. It was you shot it. You take care of it.
Yeah.
So I remember having to go out and pull the arrow and dig in a hole, and
Yeah.
it's like, this isn't any fun.
No, it ain't. That stink stays with you for a while.
It does.
Even
it
if you
does.
don't even just get close to them.
Yeah, it permeates everything.
So it's quite an odor. But, I'll remember that until I die. Like I say, them guys are super nice people. And like I say, I've known them ever since I was born, and they treated me super, and I returned the favor.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So,
So just say, Roger Overton, Old Men Stories. You look right at that camera and say,
Roger Overton, Old Man Stories.
thank you all. We just enjoyed this.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Old Men Stories. Give me one more day to climb Iowa mountains.